sir, that is my seat. That's my seat. You can't sit there right now. I know. Casa, this is mommy's seat right now. Mwah. You silly goose.
Stuck in my brain.
Hello, fellow moaners. Welcome to Make Yourself Moan podcast. I'm your host, Madison Monroe Curtis, and it's time to dive deeper.
Howdy, y'all. Welcome to the Make Yourself Moan podcast. I'm your host, Madison Monroe. Just makes me moan that we have another show. I've had to kick Casa out of my seat twice now. This is Casa Moore, the newest addition to our family. I might have to lock him up if he's gonna be near the camera. Do y'all ever put whipped cream in your coffee? I do. Just about every day. And it is so good. When I go to when I go to Waffle House, they don't have whipped cream. Can you believe it? And I can't really go to Waffle House without getting coffee. I need a BYOW. Bring your own whipped cream. I'm out of breath. Okay, I'm gonna take a deep breath. Maybe I shouldn't tell you this, but I pretty much say everything that maybe some other people would tell me not to say out loud. But I get nervous. I get nervous to show up for myself and for you, but I also get excited. And if you're not nervous about what you're doing, then you're not doing the right thing. So, yay, I'm in the right thing. This episode is a cool one. Every one of them are cool. But this one is super special because I haven't always felt this way. How exciting is it that we continue to evolve and grow and get a clear, better, broader perspective on where we've come from and what we've gone through that has led us to where we are right now. This is an episode about being a Mississippi girl. That is what I am. I have been in Mississippi my whole life, and thank God I have traveled outside of Mississippi. There are a lot of Mississippians who have never left, who are in the house that they came home to after the hospital. Some of them that their parents lived in when they were kids. I've met those people. I've never felt like I fully fit in with the Mississippian crowd. However, in many ways I do, and I'm so proud to say I'm from here. I'm jumping ahead because for most of my life up until this point, I was not proud to be a Mississippian. I was disappointed and offended, whether it was from limitations that I believed I was born into, or some of those times when I would travel, especially as a young girl in middle school and high school, people didn't greet me with, "Oh, you're from Mississippi. I like the way you say y'all." They would greet me and say, "You wear shoes there? Oh, I just thought everyone walks around barefoot. Oh, you wear things other than overalls?" To be real with you, I have a pair of overalls and I tried to wear them for this episode because, I love a good theme, but they don't fit anymore. I didn't really think it was possible to outgrow your overalls, but I'm kind of thick in some areas, and I didn't really realize the more squats you do, the more you work out, sometimes you expand before you get smaller. So I've been dealing with that. I've been outgrowing all of my britches. I'm having fun. So there's a side of me, obviously, being from Mississippi, we can be known for our accents. And while I have one, I do get asked quite often, are you from here? You sound like you're from up north. I'd say, well, I've traveled, but yeah, I'm from here. And then it really comes out though. You can tell I'm from the South, when I start saying words that have I's. So cot, lot, brat, sprat, mot. All the other words I can kind of somewhat pronounce, not so country. But if I'm around a bunch of strong country accented people who are just letting it flow, my subconscious says, "Oh yeah, I know that. We can do that." So before I know it, I'll be talking like this, and if I'm watching a country movie or a Southern Belle movie, then I can't help but imitate them like I do declare, sir. Wow, this coffee is mighty warm and tasty. Would you like some? I don't know. Maybe y'all be thinking that that is ridiculous and not cute. I don't. I don't really care. It's the sounds my mouth makes. All right, I have digressed. Welcome to the Make Yourself Moan podcast, where your host, Madison Monroe, is a Mississippi girl, and we are about to get real. Baka, baka, baka. That was a beatbox thing. I'm so awkward. I think this is live. Where you are from will always be a part of you, but you are not limited to where you are from. Growing up, I was so bored in Mississippi. I would watch these movies and see big buildings and hear about high schools where they were huge and they would do cool events. I was a big fan of Aaron Carter and Britney Spears, the Backstreet Boys, and NSYNC. I just knew the world was so much bigger than the world around me. And I come from an interesting family. My dad, as a musician, my mom has always had a heart for the fancier life, even though we've always lived middle class and more on the poorer side when it comes to things and not knowing if your electric bill was going to be able to be paid. My mom loved dressing nice, and she got to go out of town here and there. So little by little, I started to see that traveling was a thing, that just because I'm here now and I'm a kid and this is what my life looks like, I want to travel. I want to do that. I want to go to new places and see new things. When I was a senior in high school, I started to do that. A few times here and there I got to travel, not too far though, to Georgia on a family vacation. My grandparents were big into traveling, so I'd hear about it through them, or they took me on a few trips. I'm so grateful for those times because, like I'm going to tell you today, the good, the bad, the ugly makes us who we are. It's what we do with it that is who we become. And there's been some ugly. There's been a lot of ugly in Mississippi. History and slavery, obesity and teen pregnancy, the slow pace of thinking women can do and have jobs that mainly men have had before, and how women can have a place in this world without being married, without having children. It's been rough out here in these Mississippi streets at times. And I'm not here to say we are not still acting in any of those categories, but I can say that there's a lot of us Mississippians who are from here or live here that do not think like that, talk like that, live like that, or condone any of that. I always say that kids don't know what it's like to be adults, and adults forget what it's like to be kids. Because of that, there's so many unfortunate misunderstandings and actions towards one another. There were times I blamed my family for my circumstances. And yeah, in ways, they are responsible for bringing me into this world, for the childhood traumas of their abuse towards one another and the fighting and the poor demonstration of how a marriage is supposed to be, or a healthy dynamic of husband and wife, or mom and dad. My grandparents were very strong-willed and very traditional, so it was very polar opposites. I would wake up at my parents' house, and then me and my brothers picked up from school from my grandma, and then we spent evenings and summers at my grandparents where we would work in the garden, shell peas, plant, clean their houses. I was the girl, so while my brothers dug the holes outside for the new trees and plants, I would help my grandma make the beds. I would help prepare not only our 5-course dinners that we had over there at their house, which were out of this world good, no complaints there. I would also help prepare and serve dinners to guests for special events that they would host, and people that would stay in the bed and breakfast if they ordered the candlelight dinner package. I would also have to wear appropriate looking dresses or skirts, the frilly socks, a bonnet. My grandma would have me wear a bonnet from Amish country to serve these dinners to a room full of strangers that were getting together in the name of Gideon's or some sort of church event, and children were meant to be seen and not heard. So I would spend hours in the kitchen while they entertained themselves, while they ate, and I would wash all the silverware and dishes by hand because they were too fancy to go into a dishwasher. Then when people needed their drinks refilled or their food thrown away, I would be doing that. Wow. As an adult myself, I still have not relived everything in the proper way. So sometimes you're going to see me going through it on camera for the first time in a long time. I did go to public school, so I was in the band. I was a band geek. I played the flute. I tried to be friends with everybody. I have always had an interest in dressing and creating something unique clothing wise, not for the sake of being different or unique, more so because I just didn't want to be boring. And so many types of clothing that a lot of people wear or are told to wear is so basic. So when it was all said and done with in high school, senior year, I did get voted most unique, and that was cool. I think a lot of people see unique as an insult, but for me, I think it's a high compliment because I don't want to be like anybody else. Even if I love so much about you, you are you and I am me, and we're here to be different. We are created differently. We have different purposes and callings in the world. If we were both the same, that just seems confusing and boring at the core. Getting back on track with the polar opposites of my home life and my grandparents, I didn't always see how exciting the world could be. A big question you get asked as a kid in a small town in Mississippi is, where's your parents from? Or, what's your parents' names? For years I would tell them and they go, oh, I don't know them. What's your grandparents' name? And what's their parents' names? I felt like an outsider because my family name was not known to everyone for generations and generations. My mom was born where I currently live, but her and my grandparents and her sister, they traveled around for my grandpa's job. I was born in Memphis, Tennessee, but went to preschool and high school in the same town in Booneville, Mississippi. So I am from Mississippi. Eventually I learned to say, you don't know him. Now I'm kind of proud because as we've learned more of our genealogy, I got my mom that gift where she could spit in a cup. She did the deep dive. We learned that I have ancestors from Spain, Ireland, and Germany. I love that. My grandma's maiden name is Snyder. I have so much to still learn about my ancestors. I just bring that up to say our worlds are always bigger than what we see in the moment. Not only that, you can make your world as big as you want it to. Everything is a risk and there are consequences to everything. Now, some consequences are bigger than others. You can get famous overnight for something that you feel like destroys you. Or you can get famous overnight or slowly over a long period of time for things you're proud of, for things that you say, yeah, I thought twice about it, and whether you like it or not, it was still something I had to do at the end of the day. Take it or leave it. I'm going to keep doing it. And what a freeing approach that is. Whatever our experience is growing up the way we do, it can sometimes make us afraid to experience certain things out of fear that we're going to do it like the people that we grew up around. The other side of that is, I'm sure they did something right and good too. And maybe you're more excited to follow in their footsteps in those ways. Example for me, I love that my dad is a creative person and that he created his own cleaning business and he is a very incredible, talented musician. I am proud that my mom has an insane hard work ethic, and she used to go years without taking her PTO because she was too busy being reliable and accountable and the one who will always show up to work. She never missed one of me and my brother's softball games, baseball games, band concerts. She went to every single one. Not to mention how she found the money to fund all of that stuff. Class ring, championship ring, a Letterman jacket, a flute, a trumpet for my brother, theater classes that she would have to drive 40 minutes to after she drove an hour back home from work. Like, she made our dreams come true growing up. I hope to learn from their wins and their shortcomings, while I also got to keep learning from my wins and shortcomings. When we start dissecting our childhoods, our parents' lives as adults from what we remember, only then can we start to gain clarity and perspective and understanding or anger that we need to work through, because the things that we might be afraid to experience because of how we experienced it, people can be afraid to become parents because they don't like how their parents parented them. We can be afraid to have kids because we don't want to put our possible kids through what we experienced as a kid. Some parents and grandparents and family as a whole, for some people, that is still directing their day-to-day lives in one way or another. Maybe they're expected to take on the family career, be a first-generation college student. They're expected to dress and love and be certain ways that aren't created from their own within. And I struggle with that. The last several years, well, forever, really, I make it a point to go spend time with my grandparents who basically raised me. When we didn't have electricity or food, which was often, my grandparents did. When my parents were fighting really, really bad, we went to my grandparents for refuge. And I feel like I owe them so much. Not only owe them, I love them so much. They're pretty traditional and old-fashioned. I remember when I was a kid, my grandma would say things like, the way your mom lives and always being on the road to and from work, well, she's going to die. And you're going to come live with us, you and your brothers, and you're not going to go to public school anymore. You're not going to be in the band anymore. You're not going to wear pants ever again, only dresses. You'll be homeschooled. I think that formed some strong anxiety moving forward because I was always worried that my mom would die. And I think part of that stemmed from I didn't want that life. I liked going to school. I liked being around cute boys. I liked my friends, freedom. And so much freedom came when I went to school because it was away from the screaming and yelling from my parents at night. And there was school lunches and consistency. The main ingredient being consistency. There wasn't consistency from my family's house and my grandparents' house, which I would go back and forth with throughout the week. We couldn't be ourselves at my grandparents' house because the children needed to be seen and not heard. You didn't leave the dinner table until you finished everything on your plate. You ate a little bit of everything that was served on the table, and you helped fetch it. You went and pulled it from the garden. We canned the vegetables. It was like being in church all the time. One time I brought the movie Flubber over to my grandparents' house. There was an opening scene where I guess they were drawing nude people for art class. Why that scene was in Flubber, I don't understand. But they saw it and destroyed it. We were only allowed to watch black and white movies. Gospel Bill, Andy Griffith Show, really good movies. Thank goodness there were some really good ones out there. But it was just different because I was always confused. I would go to school and most people didn't relate to that. They're like, that's weird. But it taught me things that I find very valuable. The importance of gathering around the table as a family and praying before you eat and thanking God for the food in front of you and being appreciative of the hard work it takes to feed people, to have the clothes that we wear. And sometimes there are events or special occasions that you dress up for. There is fun and beauty and grace in all of that. My strong relationship to God, I have my grandparents to thank. My mom too, because she made sure she took us to church, and because of church I had so many opportunities to travel that were life changing, and more consistency from kind people that seemed to have a happier home life than what I would experience at times. I never wanted to lose that freedom, and here I am as an adult still hungry for as much freedom as I can possibly find. I have gone to a handful of different countries. I went to college 4 hours away, still in Mississippi, at Mississippi College, but it was away, and that was super life changing too. In being hungry for that freedom, it keeps me focused on chasing my dreams because I know that I am meant for more than Mississippi. And I will always be grateful to Mississippi and come back here. These are my roots. When I travel, I've always said, I feel like I collect parts of my soul as I travel, that God split my heart into pieces all across the world. And when I've gone to Ecuador, Bolivia, Spain, and Ireland, I just collected the pieces of me and put them in here, and I was better because of it. I was more whole. And I have so much more to collect. I have always found pride in the fact that I grew up around Tupelo, Mississippi. Elvis Presley was born there in a small little shack. I go and sit on his birthplace's porch because now it's a museum. It's such a special experience. You feel the energy there, the dedication, the determination, the talent, the uniqueness, all there in this space, and you're able to just go sit there for free. I recommend it for everyone. If you are from here, Mississippi, you're in Tupelo, you have no excuse, go now. If you've never been here before, when you visit, go see his birthplace, touch those roots, and absorb some of the magic. He was very poor. He experienced tragedy. His twin died at birth. He did not have it easy in the beginning, but he had a dream. His mom believed in him so hard that she pushed him and encouraged him. Despite his start of when he was brought into the world and as a kid growing up in a small town, it didn't stop him. In fact, he used his background in gospel churches, being around diversity. He used it all to become who Elvis Presley is to us. And he's not the only one. There is so many people that are out there with this freedom that I crave who have made it from Mississippi. Morgan Freeman, Oprah Winfrey, Haley Williams, a Paramore, Lance Bass, Jamie Lynn Spears, Rig Otero. So many people. My name is going to be on that list. Let me just tell you. Every one of our journeys are guaranteed to be different than someone else that we admire or someone else that did something similar to what we do. I am not the same as anyone else. My podcast is not the same as anyone else's. We will end up disappointing somebody. It is one of my biggest fears to disappoint my grandparents. And I struggle with it. I was at their house yesterday sitting with my grandma who has Parkinson's, and she is a few cards away of being a vegetable. And even though, I've spent countless hours and days with her over there, washing her hair, doing their laundry, cleaning their whole house, doing yard work, trying to better their property, take some stress off their lives. My grandpa just turned 95 this week. We got to celebrate together and have a dinner for him, which is so special. They also just watch Fox News all day. And we don't agree on a lot of things. Politically, my grandpa was not happy with the way a lot of people at the Grammys dressed or how they spoke, and I'm the opposite. I was proud of what I heard from most people. I was impressed by the creativity of the outfits. I have a Make Yourself Moan podcast. I encourage embracing your sexuality and feeling sexy. I mean, Chapel Roan, you go girl, wearing a dress that's attached to your nipples, looking fine. I understand that that upsets some people. Don't watch it. If she was allowed in, then they allowed it, and that's brave. Do you know how often your dress or shoes or anything is stepped on? That took bravery. I think about in history our statues of women and men and the human body. They're naked. She had on more clothes than these statues that we put up in museums and then take children to go see and admire. I feel like it's a hypocrisy. And my grandpa says his thoughts all the time, but when I say mine or someone says theirs, it's a little bit, okay, yeah, but this is how it really is. And it just gets taxing sometimes. I respect them in so many ways and love them, and I've tried to dedicate my life to them in a lot of ways. But it hurts when I realize, like, if they knew all parts of me, they probably disowned me. And that sucks. That's unfortunate. I don't know that for sure, but when I go over there and I don't wear certain things, I'm typically in sweatpants and a t-shirt because I know to them it's more respectful. And when I hear what they think politically or against certain humans, I do speak up and I say, well, I have queer friends and I love trans people and I have tattoos. They see them, right? I have a nose ring. I've lived with my last several partners and we're not married. They've also said, women need to be married and that's their place in the world. But with their actions, they kind of show me the opposite of that. Over the last few years, I've seen changes. I've seen growth where they're more grateful and they say thank you. And they see what I have been able to do for them and for myself as a woman, as an unmarried, kidless woman out here in the world. I am doing well. And I do things for them more so than a lot of other members of my family. And that has been a gift. And I'm so grateful that I've got to do that. But it is scary about disappointing them. What's more scary is disappointing myself. That I think I've tried to prioritize disappointing myself more than others. And thankfully now I'm like, F that. F that. We all are responsible for living our own lives. We cannot live anyone else's life. And sometimes when people are disabled and have a mental health disability, that is sucky, but we're capable of having that as well. So there are places, there is help out there where it doesn't need to be all on you anymore. And maybe you need to make more money or be more creative to be able to get that help for that loved one. But sometimes they're not even willing to take the help. So if someone that you love needs something and there is a way for them to have it without it draining and taking everything from you and you putting all of your things and interest and beliefs on hold on the back burner, and they still don't want it because they would rather just keep taking from you, and they're completely okay with putting all this extra pressure on you, that's not what I call love. And yet here I am. Sometimes I'm doing that for my grandparents, but they have started saying thank you, and I've started going there less. I've had to say I will help here and there when I'm here in Mississippi, which I have been for the last few years, but I no longer can make it my responsibility for them to be experiencing the best of the best that I can give them 24/7, 7 days a week. They have lived their lives, and it's hard to even say this because I'm trying to believe it and learn it more than ever, because I still have a hard time with it, because you love people and you want the best for them. But what about the best for you? Who's out here living for you? Do you have somebody or people doing for you what you're doing for others? Are you sacrificing your youth, your prime, the money that you are giving everything to come by? And yes, help. Don't be selfish and stingy and greedy or mean. But what about you? I keep telling people around me lately, you can't pour from an empty cup. Yes, we should give. We are called to give back. But when we give to a point where we are now depressed and lonely and unmotivated and dissatisfied with what we have made up for ourselves, what are you going to be pouring out to others? Bitterness, regret, envy? So make sure you have enough in your cup to keep you well enough so you can then take care of other people better. I'm sure we've all heard this example, but if you've ever been on a plane, they show you how to put on the mask. They say put on your own mask first. Instinctually, a lot of us want to put on the mask of the loved one first, but what happens when you pass out and so do they, and then you both die? We're not talking about if the plane crashes. This is just a scenario. The plane doesn't crash. It just has bad turbulence and everyone ends up okay. All right, I need some coffee after this. Goodness. The cost of not chasing your dreams is guaranteed to leave you sad and regretful. Just like your dreams will require you to be cringy at times, they'll also require you to sacrifice time and efforts with your loved ones. It is your responsibility to make your dreams come true, no one else's. And if anyone out there is making you feel like it's on you for them to get what they need out of this life, that's selfish and that's not fair. They can act in a way where you couldn't imagine not being with them or around them or taking care of them in the ways that you do. But even with that, we need breaks. We need to vent and we need to go do things on our own and experience things that we want to experience, just like they should get that. So for my grandparents, I am going to keep showing up for them and giving it my all. But I also am going to keep showing up for myself better than I've ever shown up before. Continuing to work to accept the sacrifices that also means I take. Like, be so myself that if and when my grandparents see those parts that maybe they haven't seen before, I can't let the fear of disappointing them or them disowning me emotionally or telling me how disappointed they are keep me from chasing my dreams with everything that I got. Because me chasing my dreams doesn't affect the way I love them. And it hardly affects the way I show up for them. When I fulfill my daily interests and to-do list, I show up better for them because I'm not bitter and irritated about being there. I'm more confident and I'm more happy. I have more energy to try to help my grandma get in a better mood when the Parkinson's and the effects that has on her body and brain, when she's just not willing to smile and can't remember most things, I'm able to be slower and more cheerful and can take it a little bit better when she is mean. because I know she loves me. And my grandpa is one of the wisest men I know. Definitely one of the hardest working men, still working at 95, still bringing all of us breakfast and helping supply dinners and being that rock. Sometimes the rock can hurt you or is in the way of your path. This is mainly a check-in to just speak on, if you don't like where you're from and your circumstances, don't let that defeat you. Because that is all going to be something that you use down the road to set yourself apart from everyone else. You can use anything that has happened to you to help you achieve your dream and then change the world in a way that you're meant to. Don't let the fear of disappointing people that you love so much keep you from trying and going after things that make you moan. You are here to live your life. And when you live your life authentically and purposeful, there is harmony and peace. Not in every way, and maybe not at first. Because we are all just out here being flawed humans, thinking we know what everyone else should do and how they can do it better, forgetting that we're all humans living life for the first time. And sometimes that requires some selfishness and the ability to make mistakes and the lessons of learning how to apologize or when not to apologize. Because just because they're upset at you doesn't mean you did something wrong. So thank y'all for listening to the Make Yourself Moan podcast. My name is Madison Monroe. If you feel led to, please go like, share, comment, follow so you can be notified anytime there's a new episode. We are here to talk about the things that most people don't talk about and do it in a meaningful, purposeful way. I would like to pray for you before we go. This is something that I've thought about doing before, but I keep coming back to it. So I want to pray for you before we officially go. And yeah, let's do that. Dear God, thank you so much for this opportunity for me to have this show in general, to be able to talk about whatever is on my heart. That level of freedom, I know a lot of people don't have, and a lot of people haven't always had it. So I just want to show my gratitude for this blessing. And I know that I feel called from you to do so, to be here, to share this. And God, I ask you to be my compass and my guide. Please use me, God, to reach other people in your name, to show them through my wins and loses better ways to love people and to be there for others, but also themselves. You know better than we do about what's going on in the world today. And just like many generations before us, if not all, there has been devastation and pain and terrible crimes and people in power that don't seem like they should be in power. But God, I lift it all up to you and ask you for discernment in where to go, moves to make, what to say, and who to say it to. Thank you for your forgiveness of all the things, your love for all of us, and the gifts that you have uniquely given each one of us. Amen. May you go find something that makes you moan today and every day. And if something makes you moan, it makes you happy, but you feel guilt or shame from it, ask the questions, ask why, and unravel it. So you can become your truest, sexiest, moaning self that you've ever been able to be. Until next time, have a great day. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Make Yourself Moan. Remember, self-love and raw truth are your power. So keep diving deeper and turning up the volume on truth and healing. Until next time, I'm Madison Monroe Curtis, sending you love and loud moans of confidence. If you feel led to, please follow me, like, subscribe on all those socials. I'd love it if you send or email me any and all topics on your heart and brain, and let's unravel those together. Until next time, just keep moaning.